Welcome to the AEN Stories channel.
I turned 40 the year my house started sounding like a hotel lobby, doors opening and closing at odd hours, whispers in corners, cheerful small talk to patch the quiet. It didn't happen all at once. Families don't crack like ice, they soften around the edges and then your hand goes right through. My name is Chris. I do field operations for a mid-sized telecom, cell sites, fiber builds, the kind of work that makes me say things like backhaul at dinner until my wife, Angela, gives me the look that means save it for the guys in neon vests. She's 35, a dental office manager with a calendar brain and a smile that makes anxious people unclench. We have two kids, Mia, 8, who thinks books are a place you live, and Logan, 5, whose sneakers seem to have a legal requirement to be muddy. We live in a square, normal house in a cul-de-sac that loses its mind for Halloween and puts out luminarias for Christmas like they're trying to summon an airline. Angela's godmother, Karen, has been in our orbit since before we were an hour. She's one of those adults who never stopped knowing how to talk to kids without talking down. In the beginning, she was the extra set of hands on game days, the person who could pick up a sick child when a meeting ran long, the one who remembered everyone's lunchbox preferences. She's the kind of godmother whose gifts come with batteries already in and who shows up with a casserole the exact night you hit the wall. She's not blood, but in our house like family is just the polite word for family. When Logan started pre-K, we finally admitted we needed help that wasn't just favors. Jessica came into our lives on a Tuesday afternoon like a breeze through a screen door, 22, local college senior in early childhood ed, patient in a way that isn't passive. She knew all the songs kids actually want to sing, showed up 5 minutes early, and texted summaries like a nurse, 2:15 nap for L.M. finished reading Charlotte's Web, no dairy and snack. The kids adored her. Angela adored having a reliable person to hand off to. I adored not spending my lunch break doing math on whether I could make it from a rooftop in Fairfield to school pickup in 37 minutes with the lights all turning miracle green. My job sends me out 2 or 3 nights a month. Nothing glamorous. Airports. Coffee. The wrong pillow. I FaceTime from rental cars and chain hotel lobbies and say goodnight to two faces that pixelate at the exact wrong emotional moment. Angela runs the house like a tight ship when I'm gone. She makes the lunches, signs the forms, texts me pictures of crooked ponytails in Lego cities. When I'm home, we trade off. We're a team. That's the slogan anyway. Karen filled the spaces the way she always has, Sunday dinners, I'll swing by on my way, and the gentle check-ins that never feel like surveillance. She has keys. She has a drawer in our kitchen with her favorite tea and the good scissors. When we were younger, I used to joke that if we ever broke up, Angela would get the furniture and I'd fight for shared custody of Karen. If you'd asked me in February how we were, I would have said busy. That's the American answer. Busy means fine enough to ignore. Angela had joined a women's boot camp that met in the mornings. She liked the structure and the part where someone else told her how to suffer. Jessica picked up a few extra hours most weeks, covering the after-school window when traffic and meetings and life conspire to make 4 o'clock look like the boss level of a video game. The day everything veered was a Thursday. I was in Reno, of all places, in a hotel that decided pattern could replace taste. I was there to walk a site with a contractor who believed in the power of a shrug. I called home at 5:40 and got Mia reciting spelling words while Logan sang Jingle Bells because calendars are fake to him. Angela was chipper in a way that always makes me feel like I missed a joke. "We're good," she said. "Just took them to the park. I'm cutting up veggies because apparently we're a platter family now." We said goodnight like normal people pretending distance is a technical problem. Karen told me later that she wasn't supposed to come over that evening. She had an appointment that finished early, and she decided to swing by with a bag of kid-sized mittens she'd found on clearance. She has a key but she knocks anyway. Habit. Respect. Whatever you call it. Jessica answered on the second knock, phone held between ear and shoulder like a parent veteran. Karen didn't mean to listen. That matters to me. She didn't set a trap. She stepped in the entryway and heard the tone, hushed, urgent, the way you talk when you're trying to end a call and can't because the person on the other end is the gravity. "No, I'm not telling him," Jessica said. Pause. "Because she asked me not to." Pause. "I know, but it's not my place. There's a sort of sound that happens when you realize you become a character in a play you didn't audition for. Karen felt that sound and did the thing decent people do, she let the moment announce itself. "Hey, honey," she said, loud enough to be heard through the receiver if the receiver was paying attention. Jessica jumped like a cat off a counter, ended the call with a thumb, and tried to make her face look like the dictionary definition of neutral. "Oh. Karen. I didn't think you were coming by." "Finished early," Karen said. "Brought mittens because I understand the weather better than you people." She held up the bag. "Where are my monsters?" "At the park with Angela," Jessica said. Then, too quickly, "They'll be back soon." Karen nodded and put the bag on the bench. In a different life, they would have talked about school, nap schedules, the price of strawberries. In this life, Karen is a woman who has raised children and tended to the weaker parts of many people's spines. She didn't interrogate. She asked the question that leaves room for mercy. "Everything okay?" Jessica is 22. That's old enough to understand adults are complicated and young enough to still believe truth might fix things. She started crying. Not big ugly heaves. The sort of cry you fight with organization. I shouldn't," she said. "It's not my." "You don't have to tell me anything," Karen said. "But you should know, if you're being asked to lie to parents in a house full of children, that's not you keeping a secret. That's you being used." Jessica put her hand over her mouth like she could hold the words in physically. "She brings him here when Chris is out of town," she said, so softly Karen had to lean in. "They stay outside mostly. He doesn't come in long. She says it's better this way. She told me not to say anything. She said it would blow up the family." Jessica looked up like she was asking for penalty points. "I didn't want to be part of it. I'm not a part of it. I watch the kids." Karen nodded. She wanted to tell her she wasn't a part of it. "But, if you know and you're asked to hide it, you're in it. I'm sorry. You didn't choose that. But you're in it." They heard laughter on the sidewalk. Mia's high thread. Logan's thud. Angela's rehearsal voice. They came through the door like sunlight. Karen smiled because she's a decent actor when decency is called for. "Look at you," she said, pulling off Mia's hat. "You're a tomato." "We raced," Mia said. "I won because Logan took a shortcut." "That's not how racing works," Logan said, furious at the concept of rules. Angela hung the keys, kissed Karen on the cheek, and did her cheerful inventory. "Veggies. Backpack. Shoes. Hands. Stay for dinner?" she asked. Karen said she had to get home. "I'll swing by Sunday," she said. "Let's do dinner then." That night, Karen didn't sleep. She kept turning over the pieces like puzzle parts that might make a picture that hurt less. "Tell me if this is noble." She worried about me and about the kids and about Jessica in equal measure. She worried about Angela, too. People will tell you not to waste worry on the person who did the wrong thing. But worry isn't a scarce resource. It just hurts. I got home Friday evening. Angela fed me casserole and asked about the flight and told Logan to stop making the dog into a horse because the dog doesn't like it. Saturday morning was soccer. Saturday afternoon was groceries and a birthday party for a child who has never once said hello to me. Saturday night, we watched a show about people buying houses they didn't need. Sunday morning, Karen texted and asked if we could have dinner at our place. Early, she added. 5. No emojis. I said sure. She offered to bring dessert. She always offers dessert. 30 minutes later, Angela's parents texted that they would swing by if it's okay, a sentence that meant Karen had invited them. Angela said, "Huh?" and smiled like that's short for something. The house smelled like garlic and the kind of anxiety that makes you oversalt. I grilled chicken the way I always do, like ritual as a safety device. Karen arrived with pie and a face that made me think doctors should be allowed to prescribe hugs from her. Angela's parents arrived with flowers and a wine my budget would call ambitious. Jessica came too, Karen asked her. I learned that after. She looked like someone cast too young for a courtroom scene. Mia and Logan built a fort in the living room out of every cushion we own. The dog stationed himself near the table, as is his custom. We sat. We prayed. Karen asked Mia to say grace because she trusts children with important jobs. Mia said, "Thank you for food and family and for Logan's shoes even though they're stinky. Amen." Halfway through dinner, when the room had relaxed into chewing and the kids' Ford had fallen twice and rebuilt twice, Karen set down her fork. It made a small sound that only grown-ups hear. "I need to say something," she said, to the table, to the house, to the part of herself that hates being the center of anything. She looked at me. Then at Angela. Then back at me. "I heard something on Thursday. I didn't go looking. I walked into it." She took a breath and let it out. "Jess, I'm not going to make you speak. I'll carry it." The table did the thing tables do before a storm. Everyone reached for a cliché and came up empty. Angela's mother stiffened. Angela's father adjusted his glasses like clarity might be improved transdermally. Jessica's eyes went wet and fixed on a groove in the wood. I felt my hands go cold. Karen spoke to me because she is brave and because she was always going to use my name. "Chris, there is someone coming here when you're out of town. Not for long. Not inside much. But here. Angela asked Jessica not to tell you. I'm not making assumptions about what did or didn't happen beyond what I heard. I'm telling you because I love these children and I love this family and secrets this size break bones." Angela closed her eyes. Not like a person caught. Like a person hit by a wave she swam toward. She opened them and they were wet and furious and tired. "Karen," she said, and I could hear the 12 versions of that name: godmother, aunt, ally, witness, judge. "Can we not?" "No," Karen said, gentle and immovable. "We cannot do this for another day, or we can do it now in a room with people who will remember to breathe." Angela's mother spoke first because there is always a mother tuned to her own frequency. "This is wildly inappropriate," she said. "There are children in this house." She said children like a shield. Mia peeked out of the fort, hair static bright. "We can hear you," she said, which is the sentence that should be printed above every adult argument. "Hey, buddy," I said, voice doing the careful thing, "why don't you and Logan go pick out a movie? You can watch in your fort with headphones." Mia looked at me like she was deciding whether or not to believe that safety could be barred from electronics. She nodded and pulled Logan in. The dog stayed, because dogs have lost the privilege of not being present at human drama. I looked at Angela. She looked at me. "We've had 1,000 of these looks. Do we leave early? Do we say yes to the expensive field trip? Are we the kind of people who let a dog on the couch?" This was none of those looks. This was, are we going to speak like adults or like ghosts? "Is it true?" I asked. "I didn't dress it up. Is someone coming here when I'm gone?" Angela swallowed. "Yes," she said. I felt everything and nothing. "It's someone from my gym," she added, like details would make me believe this was a phase, a movie, a thing that happens to other people in different houses with different furniture. "It wasn't supposed to be here," I said, because the one line left to me was territorial, and I took it. "In my house. With my kids' shoes at the door." I asked Jess not to tell because I didn't want to light the match, Angela said. "You lit it," Karen said, sorrow and steel braided. "You asked a girl who loves your children to hold it for you." Jessica made a small sound. "I'm sorry," she said. "Chris, I'm so sorry. I didn't want to lie. I didn't want to tell. I quit twice in my head. I didn't." "I'm not angry with you," I said, and I meant it in the way you can mean a thing and still be on fire. "You took care of my kids. You're in a spot no one your age should have to haul." Angela's mother turned on Karen. "How dare you do this here," she said. "In front of us. In front of the babysitter." "She's not a baby," Karen said, and nodded at Jessica like a knighting. "She's 22 and she did more adult work this week than most of us." Angela's father cleared his throat in the way men do when they'd rather be talking plumbing. "Christopher," he said, "we can step outside and discuss." "We're not going to make the truth go get some fresh air," I said. "It lives here now." Angela met my eyes and finally did the thing that felt like mercy. She told the truth without a paragraph. "I was lonely," she said. "You're gone a lot." I felt like a calendar and a lunchbox. He made me feel not like that. She shook her head. "It doesn't excuse it. I did it wrong. I shouldn't have brought it into this house. I shouldn't have involved Jess. I didn't think past the minute. She started to cry the way people do when their body refuses to let them be noble. I'm sorry. There are a lot of lines in a moment like this that feel ready because TV gave them to you. How could you? I did everything. We have children. I didn't pick any of those. I said the only thing that made its way through the fog. You could have told me you were drowning. Angela laughed, a broken, single bark. I don't know that I wanted to be rescued, she said. That was worse than any detail about a man's face. That was the philosophy of the thing. The room divided without people changing chairs. Angela's mother moved into defense, painting this as a crisis of female longing and male absence in modern life. Karen didn't fight her. She said, maybe, and then, it's still a lie that asked a child to hold it up. Angela's father shifted into logistics. What now? Who stays where? How do we tell the kids in a way that doesn't make them feel like they broke it by overhearing? My job was to be a person who could sit upright and use nouns correctly. I told the kids. Not right then. Later. In the den, with the TV on low and the dog pretending to sleep. Mom and I made a mistake, I said, because pluralizing my hurt felt like the closest I could get to not making our daughter choose teams. We need to take some space and figure out how to be kind and honest at the same time. Mia asked if we were getting divorced in the factual tone of a girl who has watched other families recalibrate. We don't know yet, I said. Logan asked if this meant he could have 2 Halloweens. I said no, and then yes, because his math isn't wrong. We made a plan the way adults do when plans are the only thing that keep your hands busy: temporary schedule, a calendar for overnights, a rule about no friends at the house and no secrets that require children to learn new definitions of loyalty. Angela moved into the guest room that night because changing everything in a day is a different kind of harm. Karen slept on our couch like a sentry. Angela's parents went home puzzled and wounded and, in her mother's case, itchy for someone to blame who wasn't her daughter. Monday morning still came with cereal and the hunt for the purple folder and a missing shoe that turned up in the washing machine. I made lunches. Angela braided Mia's hair. Logan asked if plants sleep. I went to work and pretended the logic of radio frequency interference could comfort me. We told Jessica she didn't have to stay if it was too much. She came anyway. I love them, she said. I can handle weird. She sat with Mia after school and drew a diagram of feelings that looked like a weather map. She let Logan line up Hot Wheels by color and told him he was a good organizer, which is a thing no one had ever told him because mess had always been more interesting than his desire to make columns. She apologized to me every day for a week until I told her the debt had been paid and then some. The neighbor I never talked to pretended to console me in the cul-de-sac and then asked if it was the Peloton boy because we had one of those bikes. I said no clear words and watched him back away from whatever face I made. Human nature is nosy with a casserole in its hands. We saw a counselor. Angela cried in a way that turned into sentences that sounded like essays she'd been writing without a keyboard. I got angry in a way that made me talk about a thing from my childhood I thought I'd outgrown. We talked about love as a verb and trust as a bank account and how the house you live in after something like this is newer than you wanted to build at 40. We talked about how the apology is the beginning, not the end. We talked about Mia and Logan like they were the reason we were both still in the room, which is not romantic but might be holy. Karen stayed in our lives at a distance that felt like a hug with arms. She came to soccer and sat between us and yelled the same amount for both teams, which is her style. She took Mia to the library on Thursdays because stories fix more than people think. She brought Logan a magnifying glass and taught him the word examine in a way he has since applied to ants and adults. Angela told the man from the gym the version of goodbye that doesn't involve speeches. He sent one anyway. She didn't answer. She put her phone on the counter face up for a month, which meant more to me than any paragraph could. She moved back into our room after we said hard things in a room with beige furniture and came home and said them again without anyone paid to witness it. Forgiveness didn't show up like a delivery, it seeped in like weather. Some days it still doesn't come. Some nights it sits on the porch like a stray and I decide if I have the right food for it. We don't talk about that Sunday at dinner like it was a play we did. We talk about it the way you talk about a car accident that everyone walked away from, a fact you're grateful for and wary of. Karen and I have had 3 different conversations where she apologized for the way she did it and I thanked her for doing it at all. Both can be true. She wanted to choose a kinder theater. There isn't one. Not for this. Jessica graduated in May. We threw her a party in the backyard with cheap streamers and a cake that looked like a college application exploded. Mia made a speech about how people who read to you when you're sad are heroes. Logan gave her a Hot Wheel because he thinks that's what you do when you love someone. Angela and I stood next to each other and clapped until our hands stung. It felt like a benediction. We are not a miracle. We are a schedule with feelings attached. We go to work. We cook pasta. We buy a ridiculous set of markers Mia swears she needs. We go watch Logan chase a ball like it owes him money. We fail at bedtime and then try again. Sometimes Angela and I sit on the porch after the kids are asleep and listen to the neighborhood pretend it's not late. She will say, "I'm sorry," out of nowhere, and I will say, "I know," and then we will talk about gutters or how to explain to Logan that plants are awake in their own way. We sleep in the same bed again. Most nights. Sometimes we don't. Progress is not a straight line, it's a rope swing. There's a picture on the fridge of the 4 of us in front of the library, hair messy, faces honest. Karen took it. When I look at it, I don't see what we lost. I see what we managed not to drop while we were carrying it across a river we didn't want to cross. The house still sounds like a hotel lobby sometimes, doors, whispers, small talk. But there's also laughter that doesn't flinch and the kind of silence that feels like rest instead of rehearsal. If you want a moral, I don't have one I'd print on a pillow. I have a practice: tell the truth sooner, especially to kids. Don't make the youngest adult in the room carry the heaviest thing, keep a godmother near, learn the word examine, and when you say grace, let the child speak. They know what matters. They always did. Thank you for listening my story. If you want more raw, real, and gripping stories like this one, subscribe to the AEN Stories channel. Your support keeps these stories alive.